Hi, welcome to Good Doggy Training. My name's Annette. This is my little pack. So from right to left, there's Kevin, Simon, Thomas and Michael. Today we're off to the beach. So I thought I would share with you some of the things that I do and don't do with the dogs when we all go to the beach. You can see that I've got the dogs on lead, even though it appears that there's no one around, no other dogs, no people. Why not let them off lead? Well, there's good reason why not to let them off lead just yet, because it's a bit of a sand dunes and there could be people sat in the sand dunes having their lunch, eating sandwiches, doing other things. Leave you to imagine what that might be. There could be dogs with families in the sand dunes. Who knows? There could be all sorts. So I wouldn't let my dogs off lead in sand dunes just because you can't see what they're doing. For me, it's important to know what my dogs are doing, so I need to be able to have sight of them all the time so that they don't annoy anybody accidentally. I don't want to spoil somebody else's day on the beach. Not everybody likes dogs, even if they just went near somebody. So I think it's polite and respectful to other beach users not to have your dogs running loose, especially on sand dunes where they can easily go out of sight. Just look at this beach. I absolutely love this place. It's just north of Mablethorpe and it's just a massive expanse of sand. Here we go, boys on the beach. We park up in the car just the other side of the sand dunes. The car park luckily has a dog waste bin. So what we tend to do is keep the dogs on lead, try to make sure that they've done anything that they need to that might need picking up quite close to the car park, and I mean by that I might even just march up and down with them. Generally speaking, they're excited when they get out of the car. They'll usually do their number twos quite quickly. You can then get your 4 little bags into the waste bin without having to take it down on the beach with you. However, as you saw, Roderick got a little pew bag there, so one of them had a second go, and here you can see Roger is sporting the very latest fashion in poo bags, so that we don't have to carry them down onto the beach. Please, 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 folks, don't leave poo bags hanging around. People throw them into ditches and hedges and stuff, and it would be really easy to just throw them in the sand dunes somewhere. It's horrid when you come across them. Please don't do it. Kevin? Mikey, Thomas, and Simon. Oh, I'm Roger. On this particular day, it was 30 degrees at home, which is pretty warm for us humans and for the dogs as well. So it was fantastic to be able to get in the car drive all the way across to Lincolnshire and get on this lovely beach. It was about, I think the car said it was 23 in the car park, but down on the beach it will have been cooler than that, maybe about 20 degrees, with a little bit of a breeze, but obviously, as you can see, the sun was shining, so you felt lovely and warm, and felt like a proper little mini holiday. Ponies. Now, whilst we're on the theme of heat, the other aspect that we need to think about, which as humans struggle with, I have to say, is ground temperature. We usually wear shoes and we don't particularly make any thought about what temperature the surface that we're walking on is. But our dogs don't wear shoes. Their paws are relatively sensitive and they can absolutely feel heat through their paws. So it's really important to think about what temperature that ground might be. So tarmac, sort of dark coloured tarmac, is awful for keeping heat. Even, late into the evening, put your hand down and feel some dark tarmac. It can be really, really hot. You would not want to take your shoes off and walk barefoot on it. So why would you walk your dog on it?
Oh, on you go, Simon. Oh, woohoo!
Aqueducts. Similar with dry sand. Now, if it's been wet, chances are it's been cooled down by the sea at some point, or rain, or whatever. So it's not likely to be as hot. But again, if you're not sure, touch it. Put your hand down, feel the temperature. Just a bit like you would if you had a baby. You'd test the temperature of the water that you're going to put your baby into. Test the temperature of the surface that you're going to ask your dog to walk on, because they don't wear shoes and they don't want cooked feet. So just something to think about in terms of walking on hot sand, walking on hot tarmac. If you can just quickly get over it, then that should be fine. Get onto some cool long grass, wet sand like what you just seen us walking over, that sort of thing. Large bodies of water, so North Sea in this case, or even a reasonable sized reservoir, are going to be very cold. So I think the sea temperature on this day was about 15 degrees. So that's not very warm, is it? So getting the dogs into the sea is really, really going to help cool them down on a warm day. And as you can see, they absolutely love it. My backpack that you saw earlier, that I carried down onto the beach, was absolutely rammed with clean, fresh water for the dogs. So they got offered this on a regular basis, but it is amazing because they didn't drink any of the water for the 2-3 hours that we were on the beach. And that can only be because we found the sea so refreshing. The water itself was keeping the temperature down, so they didn't feel the need to drink even though they were doing all of this running around and enjoying themselves, playing, they were quite comfortable.
What you got, Kevin? Oh, a crab. He's got a crab. Crabs for lunch.
One of the things that's often plastered all over social media as soon as the weather gets quite warm or even hot is about heat and dogs. So I have probably a slightly different view to most folks in that I think you should be managing how warm and hydrated your dog is, rather than just leaving it to chance. Or the other extreme is you don't do anything with your dog at all when it's faintly warm. I'm sure you know that dogs can't sweat like we can to cool down, but they pant, which mostly as humans don't do, but you know, there's always the odd person, isn't there? So panting helps a dog by enabling it to cool down through the same mechanism as for us being able to sweat, that evaporation causes cooling of the skin. So panting allows the inside of the mouth, the tongue, to cool down, and that's why the warmer a dog gets, the wider you'll see its mouth get, and the farther out its tongue will stick. Even to the extent that, certainly with my dogs, the tongue will loll out to the side rather than just in front when they're really warm and they're desperately trying to cool down. So when your dog is panting a lot because it's warm, it's panting because it's trying to cool down, but as it's panting, it's losing water. So it's really important to keep offering your dog water so that it can remain hydrated, because your dog's going to get sick even if it isn't too hot if it gets dehydrated. So you've got two things in warm weather to think about, not just heat, but making sure that your dog is hydrated. So making sure that it's offered clean, fresh water on a regular basis when it's panting, but then also making sure that it doesn't get too hot. Another thing to think about when you're at the beach is safety. So if you have any kind of free-running dog, whether it's a hound or, in my case, one of the gun dog breeds, they could easily get in trouble by simply going too far. I'm not clear that dogs understand depth perception in the same way that we do, and can see something in the distance and understand that it is a long way away. So for example, my dogs have seen something on the horizon in the sea, and they've absolutely made a beeline for it. Now you have to appreciate that they've been trained for gun dog work, so they're used to looking for objects on the waterline and going and retrieving it. The problem comes when that happens to be a ship that's about 5 miles out at sea. But from their perspective, they can just see something, a little white thing, in the distance. And I think it's that depth perception. So you have to be mindful of your dog not trying to swim out to sea, albeit through ignorance. So keeping your dogs close to you, keeping an eye on all of your dogs at the same time. Most people probably don't have 4 big dogs like me, and on this occasion I'm having a swim, so I've only got 2 dogs with me and the other 2 are on the shore. It's really interesting to look at this footage and see how, even on a calm day when there's not much swell at all, the dogs frequently disappear out of sight when I'm actually in the water swimming and it's only my head that's out of the water. They just disappear, albeit momentarily. So it's, and for the dog as well, if you think about how we would disappear from their side, it would be easy for them then to get the wrong idea when they do see something and think, oh, they're over there, I'll swim over there. They don't know. They're not human. They're just dogs. Then I think there's a similar thing on land. The large expanse of sand that we have on the Lincolnshire coastline, it's fantastic, but would be very, very easy for your dog just to run and keep running, almost drunk by the space. I'm sure there's little need for me to talk about making sure that your dogs only go into the water when it's safe as well. Obviously, if it was a wild day or you knew there were undercurrents, you wouldn't put your dog in, never mind go and swim in the sea yourself. So those sensible things that you would do for yourself, make sure that they also apply to your dog. Then the other thing about safety is just being mindful that all sorts of things wash up on beaches. Things that could make a dog very ill if it got hold of. You see bits of plastic, just all sorts. So keep a close eye on your dog. If it picks things up, make sure it's not going to harm itself through grabbing something that's just laying around on the beach. We both thought this was a rock from a distance, but the dogs were incredibly interested in it. So we popped the dogs on the lead and we went and had a look what it was. And you can see as we get closer, it's a dead seal. So clearly you wouldn't want your dog messing around with this. You don't know what it's died of. It could be maggot ridden, could have been pollution, who knows, it could be all sorts. You just won't want your dog messing around with it, although clearly something has mucked about with it. Well, I really hope that you've enjoyed watching our little trip to the beach. Thank you so much for watching Good Doggy Training. Enjoy your dogs and I'll see you very soon. Bye folks.